Fellow artists and friends, if you are comfortable, then let us begin. This is a story in no chronological order, but of great intent. Love Level 2022, a series of unprecedented events, is a multi-arts performance and a showing of community narratives presented by local artists, both emerging and professional, and they're all friends of the arts company that I work for as a creative producer. We've seen this as an opportunity to actually tell our own stories and the stories of community in a way that's both creative, interesting, healing and provocative. This project has a diversity of artists. It's an inclusive project, which means it's Auslan signed, and part of our focus is to include the deaf community who plays such a large role in the Northern Rivers.
I have a long history here, quite a few years before the flood, being involved in theatre and other performances. And this year, because of the flood unfortunately, and the overtopping as we call it, with such the damage, we've not been able to do that with all of the disruption to infrastructure and buildings. So tonight, the program for tonight is all about resilience and building back strength and getting over the original impact of the flood and getting back into rebuilding. And so we're all together doing performances as a team. I'll be on tonight doing a performance. I'm very excited about that. And it'll be really good as a form of expression to get it out.
It's a delicate dance between knowledge and chance, and a dangerous game when we float to a place of dry land where we can't understand what happened that day before we got in the boat.
As a puppeteer, like with Crinkle, the only projects I'm interested in is stories from local people and expressing them as best we can in consultation with those people and their stories, giving them something back to reflect back in a creative way of an experience that someone may have had, and following them. You know, I'm a shadow, I'm not the light, I'm the shadow, and I'd like to follow what that person's story is.
They was stuck in under a wire, and a house caught on fire. It was a series of unprecedented events.
This show hasn't been developed with a creative director telling everybody what stories they're performing and how they're interpreting narratives. The creators have free creative control around parameters such as time and space and funding to create and interpret the stories that they find, and that by coming and bringing these stories together, we create an amazing patchwork of stories across the far north coast.
As an emerging regional artist, it's been really great to work on this project with Sunita and the Realartworks team, because so often we don't get these kind of opportunities in the regions, and especially this happening after the massive floods and also COVID hitting the town and the arts sector. It's been a really great opportunity to collaborate with other artists such as Katie Cooper-Wares on these pieces, and kind of really stretches my boundaries on what I normally create.
The project is evolving, so it is a showing of work that's being developed, but it's also in response to community narratives. As socially engaged artists, we're not here to actually solve the problem, but we are here to give our community a voice and to create a creative investigation on what it means to live in a flood-affected area and to live with natural disasters.
I was writing an email to someone and it just started turning into a poem. As I was trying to express how I was feeling, the language that I used started becoming poetic. And, you know, I guess for me it was great that I haven't performed poetry like that for 20 years.
In the midst of chaos, there are good people everywhere. We are 1 part in 9 from the dirty earth and 9 parts water. We all come from the cosmic mud.
It was a real roller coaster, actually, the whole going through the experience. And there was initially this level of adrenaline and almost euphoria as we were like smashing through, getting things done. And then, that shifted over time, and, there were levels of anxiety, levels of depression. For myself, that the whole show actually was a response to that in some way, to be creatively examining the different emotional, spiritual, mental levels that we went through over that process.
The universe, which modern science tells us, is probably sentient, maybe possibly more concerned with the health of the river than my tiny part of the everything that is, that my atoms colliding as consciousness are.
I collaborate with a lot of people of the ages. This is definitely second or fourth time doing this, the fifth time doing this.
Ring the rusty bells and mannequins with arms, sinks and road signs and broken guitars.
It's a very expansive process, takes a lot of time and effort, but very worth it.
From loss and grief springs mighty hope, a rich opportunity to learn and to cope. Reach out to trust from trauma and fear, a new beginning, some I'm sure and so clear. What is this rising hell that is pouring in, and how did this come to pass? What is this rising hell that is pouring in, and how did this come to
The role of the arts in recovery and resilience and creating an identity for community is incredibly important. I mean, the arts has always played a part in how we express ourselves and how we see ourselves. It tells the stories of our past and where we are and where we're going into the future.
Big bad flood, it was a very bad boy. The big bad flood, it was a very bad boy.
I was totally blown away by the venue, and the energy was awesome, and just it almost made me want to cry because it was, obviously it affected so many people, but it was just done in such a gentle way.
Really good to see Lismore coming back to life after all the challenges and still its creative, funky community self.
It's so inspirational to see the people come together, and it really moves me quite my heart sort of goes wow, because with all the suffering that they all went through.
I think it's a great thing, especially back here where it is, because it was so affected, and it's bringing life back into what was a dead town. It's like all the eerie feeling is driving in here with no lights. So yeah, I think it was great.